게임은 재밌으면 된다니까?
불멸의 전사 2.
Welcome everybody to the 2016 Round 2 semifinals. As you can see, it's myself and GTR tonight. And it is the Telecom Wars with KT Rolster versus SKT T1.
Yeah, last season we saw the same exact matchup in the playoffs, and SK Telecom T1 did prevail. Yesterday we saw Classic taking the all kill for SK Telecom T1, and he is the first player for SKT. So will we see him take the all kill today? He is up against Stats though, who's a very formidable opponent.
Yeah, Stats definitely not going to be an easy starting opponent for him here. I think there is the possibility of an all kill tonight, but if it happens, it's more likely on the KT Rolster side, I'd say. Stats, not the most likely candidate in the world, so, you know, not the best candidate for an all kill, but let's kind of take all kills and throw them out of the water here. I think tonight's matchup is really about roster depth, and SKT only showed one player yesterday getting all 4 kills with Classic, and using him as a starting player means he's probably starting to get a bit fatigued as builds have been shown. But again, if he gets multiple kills here, they hide more plays potentially for the versus Jin Air match on Saturday if they're able to take the win.
Yeah, no doubt the most important match will be that Jin Air match. And as you said, SK Telecom has so much more depth than KT. KT of past, we thought of them as the second best team in Korea. They had players like Life, like Flash, etc. But now they're struggling to find that 4th player on their team, and as a result, I feel like coming into this game, they are the weaker side in this Telecom war.
I have to agree with you there, GTR. I mean, it was a weak time for SK Telecom overall in round 2. I mean, we never would have ever imagined that they would actually take like the 4th seed and have to play against, or 3rd seed, have to play against CJ, who really got into the playoffs overall based on some mistakes of some of the other teams. Like, to be totally honest, I would have rather had Samsung in our top 4 than CJ, and they got all killed yesterday, just kind of highlighting that fact, their weakness.
Yeah, as we see here, the opponent records in Starcraft 2 between both these teams. No surprises, actually. SK Telecom has the regular season advantage, but postseason advantage is actually in KT Rolster's favor.
Absolutely, and this is why KT Rolster is a team that's so famous and historically has done well in the semifinals, finals, etc. in the all-kill format. It's because they have players that carry them, but the depth of their lineup is very weak. If they're not getting a multi-kill with some of their best players, they fall flat most of the time. Now here's our map list. As you guys can see, there's a bit of data on that, but this is what I really want to focus on. If you add up actually the multi-kills for both teams, it's 30 to 15. So KT Rolster has 30 multi-kills to 15 on SKT, and also on the 4 kills, it's 9 to 4. So KT has 9 all-kills to SKT's 4. Now if you look at that, you might think, well, actually, I mean, that's kind of, that says that KT is like the stronger team, right? I don't think so. I think that shows that SKT doesn't need all kills to win big playoff matches.
And you also notice that there were only 3 players on the KT team that had multiple kills. Stats, TY, and Zest. And there's no doubt that if 2 of these players get at least 2 kills, KT can easily take this match. But it's going to be all depending on them, because I definitely don't think players like Lucero are actually going to take the game today.
Don't think so. I mean, if we see it happen, I'll be the first to jump out of my seat and be excited to say, okay, we finally see some depth to this roster. But we're not seeing it, and I actually think the best Pro League teams will always be the teams that have the biggest depth. SK Telecom T1, best funded, you know, one of the best teams in the world, the best team in League of Legends as well. Just won MSI, you know, had one of their rougher tournaments, but still won it. This is basically the best esports organization in the world, consistency-wise, in the hardest region in the world. But when you take a look at Jin Air, who got #1 in the regular season of round 2, it's because suddenly their roster exploded with depth, and they actually had players like Cure taking multiple wins. And I feel like that's something that KT has been sorely lacking. They tried to pick it up in Life, but now he's gone, and no one can fill his shoes. Flash is gone as well.
Well, they did try to pick up Leonov from a Freak of Freaks, but that didn't really work out for him. And we see here the hashtag battle between KT Win and SKT Win, and surprisingly KT is ahead in SKT. I guess all the SKT fans out there are just sleeping. But these statistics, thanks to Twitter Korea, make sure that if you want to show your support for your respective teams, hashtag SKT Win if you want SKT to win, and hashtag KT Win if you want KT to win. And also remember to follow Kesper on Twitter at Kesper and KesperEN, and also use the hashtag at hashtag SPL.
That's right. Well, check out stats, man. Star League finalist here, rocking in at an 8-3 regular season. In 2016, he's got an average kill record of above 1. And as you can see, this total Pro League match this guy's been playing since Brood War, taking names for years.
Yeah.
A big veteran of StarCraft.
He's a big veteran. I believe like tomorrow is his 9th or 8th year anniversary debut, which is just ridiculous. He's probably one of the most tenured players out there, along with maybe Stork, who's older than him. But now here we see Classic, the all-kill person, or all-kill player from yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how well it's going to do against KT, considering how much more skilled KT is as a team.
I predicted his all-kill yesterday. I got a lot of negative feedback on Twitter. People were saying, you're crazy. He's only played a few times this season. He didn't do well in either individual league. No, man. Have you seen him play? The 5 games he has played, he looks like a god right now. And if you add that 4 wins from yesterday to the 3-2, it makes him with a 7-2. We don't count that in official stats because this is the all-kill format. These best of ones where crazy things can happen. Momentum is factored in as well. But the first map is going to be Orbital Shipyard for this PvP, a matchup that Classic played yesterday. It looks like we're going to start that game right now. Stats versus Classic. All right, down here in the red for KT Rolster, the Star League finalist, it is Stats.
And spawning here at the top right, in the blue actually, for SK Telecom T1, the all-killer from yesterday, it's Classic. Was it just me or there's no T1 fighting chant? As Wolf's got a big bit of mic issue. Okay, there we go, I can hear you now.
I'm like just gonna have to hold my cord together.
Yes, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Just the mic cord's a bit off today, but we see an early probe come out here for Classic. No doubt he's going to be using that to take the gases, but Stats is actually very previously going to take both of these gases. So the best course of action here for Classic is to try and delay that expansion as long as possible.
Yeah, he may be able to even delay the gateway. Looks like he didn't attempt. As I have a few more mic issues for some reason, guys. But yeah, anyways, as my mic fades in and out here, I'll have to like basically pull the cord together, which is what's actually occurring. Anyway, as I was going to say, he could have blocked the gateway because the gateway was delayed because of this, but he was unsuccessful in doing so. Counterwise, Classic does get his gases up back at home, so nothing really changed here. The only thing that can happen now is, as what you mentioned, more importantly, is the Nexus block. Yeah,
and we can see here Classic with this probe is just trying to delay that Nexus as long as possible, and Stats actually gets it down, unfortunately, and Stats is actually delaying Classic's Nexus quite a bit, which is quite the surprise considering the fact that Classic did send out his probe much earlier than Stats.
Yeah, that he did. Now with a faster core here for Classic, he will have a massive tech advantage. And he has a few choices. Ooh, nice block here. Okay, by Stats. He has a lot of choices he can go for here, but eliminating the probe is, of course, of the top priority, or at least getting it out of the base. Because if that probe remains inside, no matter what he chooses, it will be scouted. And I'm not sure if that probe actually saw the Nexus just yet.
Well, okay, so we're going to see Stats just keep scouting in. He sees the Chrono onto the Nexus, but he doesn't see any mothership. Okay, now he sees the mothership core is going to finally come out. And when you get that delayed Nexus, you usually try and get that mothership core out before your opponent. But as you said, I don't think Stats is aware that Classic's decided to expand it at the front side of his base rather than at the reverse, because that pylon is there blocking it.
Looks like he just left the base with that probe, but we don't know if he actually saw the base or not. I don't think he did.
I can do a vision check right now.
Yeah, can you check for me?
Okay,
no, he does have vision. So Stargate comes up, he has that Nexus there. Now, if he could secure this somewhat riskier Nexus, obviously the third base that he takes is a lot easier because it's just simply for free back at his back door. This Adept is going to come up here for an attempted scout. Will get scouted itself, though, by Classic. And we'll see if he can actually make something happen with this.
Yeah, it's not too big of a deal that Classic has decided to take that front expansion, because you only, until your opponent breaks the back rocks or you decide to break your own rocks at the back of that expansion, you don't have to worry about that large ramp there. And with a few pylons with the photon overcharges, it's not really too hard to defend.
Well, Phoenix is on the way here for Classic, and as his Mothership Core comes in to grab a scout of the main base, will also maybe take a probe with him. Probe's microed here very nicely by Stats, and the Twilight Council is scouted here by Classic. But here comes a Stalker. This Mothership Core will have to recall.
Yep. So there's a, well, even though Classic did use that recall, it did actually waste the photon overcharge, and actually Adept comes in, gets 2 probe kills so far. Does get a 3rd though, but he actually scouts that Classic is going for that Stargate tech, and I'm not sure if he saw the Phoenixes though.
It looks like he actually has switched to Oracle, yeah, so this will be the first Oracle. So he's, the funny thing is, I think that the Oracle was still scouted, like that just finished, so the Adept must have seen it, right? So it was not a switch based on the scout, he just changed his mind. This pylon will be cleaned up here, and Stats will lose his foothold of the backdoor expansion, which will allow Classic to take a 3rd base. And with this Oracle and nothing on the map, like you send the Oracle around, you see there's no pressure coming his way, he might feel comfortable to grab a 3rd Nexus, as Stats does the same here. So this is great scouting information. He knows he can plant the Nexus immediately upon seeing that Stats has done the same. And this is going to become one of those almost Cold War type PvPs where there's not a whole lot of action, it's just a big build-up.
Yeah, it's all about gathering the intel from both players, and Classic does have that advantage of having that Oracle just scoot around the base of Stats to see what's happening, and he sees those Blink Stalkers there at the main base, and yeah, we see both players going for the 3 Nexuses, and I think this is going to be a very long game here.
Now, one thing one of our Korean observers just pointed out is that Classic is mining from 4 gases, whereas Stats is mining from, until just now, 3. So he had a lot more minerals overall, but less gas. Just something subtle about the way that they're building. As you guys can see here, the Oracle will scout the late gas, but this forced away, was looking for some kills. And Immortal production has started quite some time ago for Classic, so he's got a better Immortal count building up here. The blink of Stats, you know, what is that really going to accomplish? That's the real question here. Is he going to build up a Stalker army and try to pressure with it? Or was he just using this as kind of like a mid-game safety measure?
Yeah, we just got to wait and see how many probes that Stats decides to build on after this War Prism, because if he doesn't decide to add any more probes and he wants to use that War Prism for some sort of Blink Stalker all-in, as you can see here, he's got the +1 weapons upgrade as well going for him as well, while Classic on the meanwhile is going for those Immortals, and he's actually getting some Stasis Warded up in the case that Stats does decide to go for that all-in.
I don't think this is going to be an all-in, but the thing is, because it's not, I worry for Stats. I mean, he is building more probes. Yeah, okay, now he adds the gateways, but he only has 3 gateways right now, so he's going to pressure first and then maybe kind of follow up with a secondary attack when that one will be the all-in. That one will be like the big punch. It's going to be like a smaller jab into the setup kill punch here for Stats. With extra gateways coming down, the extra gases, this is going to be a small harassment force to start things off, and he does have a Warp Prism with this, so this can get a lot more powerful. And he could actually warp into depths to harass while he blinks in. And look at that Stasis Ward!
Oh, the Observer's going to scout it out though, which is going to be really good for Stats. He's going to be able to work around this Stasis Ward that's placed there in the main base, and Classic needs to move his Immortals forward, and Stats just blinks back.
Yeah, no real damage done here, and I have to worry for Stats here. He's adding a few extra gateways, Templar Archives, and maybe trying to do another follow-up attack with Archons, or maybe he's just going to transition into, you know, more economy, but he invested a lot into these Blink Stalkers that didn't get much done.
Yeah, as we see here, nice Observer from Stats is going to scout out everything of Classic, including that expansion there at the back base. He's going to be able to determine by counting the mineral counts of those patches how long that Classics have had that base for.
Now, one thing he hasn't seen yet is the Dark Shrine, but it looks like he is en route towards that, and that'll allow him to set up cannons at home to really shut down that type of harass. As you see, the Observer's going to pop back. Oh, looks like he may just barely have missed. Yeah, okay, if he clicked it, he saw it. So he can set up cannons at home. He's already got 1 on the way for precaution against like charged zealots and adepts that might get warped in later on in the game. So he should be pretty prepared for this.
But here comes the Warp Prism Classic, and if he gets a good angle into the base of Stats, he could do a lot of damage with a Dark Templar drop, because if I look on the Observer PC, there's no cannons at the 3rd, and there's no cannons at the main as well. There's only 1 cannon at the back expansion, so he could do a lot of damage for Stats.
Yeah, look at this.
Classic, but there is an Observer here that's going to spot the drop.
Oh, okay. Looks like he's going to see it just at the end here. Sends his units the wrong direction, and again, detection is somewhat of a problem. He doesn't bring that observer back. He does bring it back. A scout here of the cannon, and it looks like he's just going to target this cannon down, which is a bit too late. The observer is headed over, though, so this shouldn't do too much damage. The Warp Prism is the key here, and he does kill it. Yeah, that being said, though, he did pull back most of Stat's army here, and he actually even warps inside of his base. 6 probes have been killed. Nice move there from Classic. Yeah, not like a super successful drop, but it wasn't game ending. Yeah, I'd say it was worth the cost overall, though, and gave him a little bit of scouting information. Threatened stats as he was taking his 4th base, which is taken over on the left side of the map. So both players getting those 4ths up. Very similar unit compositions here. The key to note, though, is that Classic has a lot more Immortals in his army, so he has a bit of a beefier ranged army. And, you know, everyone was saying for, like, of all time, like, why doesn't Blizzard just rework it so we have gateways and gateway mode and no warp gates? I'm like, well, with how Immortals are in the meta right now, I mean, the Robos are basically gateways. You rally these big, chunky gateway units out, and, I mean, sometimes, like, we were watching, yesterday you get games with, like, versus BL where Classic has, like, 15 Immortals in the army comp. Let's see if he can actually make this heavier Immortal style work. Yeah, I think Stats saw that Immortal count, and he definitely has to move back here. Or just actually find another angle. And actually, Warp Prism just flies into the cannon of Stats. Doesn't actually kill off the Warp Prism, though, which is quite unfortunate there for Stats. But Stats does have the aggressive positioning so far in this game. That Oracle's looking for a follow-up tag. With 2 cannons here, it's going to be tough to actually find anything. There's also a cannon at this location. Let's see what he warps. Okay, 3 DTs and 4 Zealots. He can definitely kill the cannons here with this many DTs. And this is going to force Stats to maybe go panic mode. He's going to engage here. Oh, not the fight he wants. Yeah, I think he's going to try and defend this with his next warp in. But the Zealots and the Dark Templars just doing so much damage right now. There's no cannon. He has no detection here, so this is a big problem. And Stats is going to send his whole army back, which gives Classic so much room to breathe right now. Yeah, now the ball is in Classic's court right now. He managed to force Stats to move back with that 1 observer. I think that is his 1 observer in his army. So actually, he's got 2, but the one's with Warp Prism and one's with main army. So, yeah, forcing Stats back, and the +2 has finished for both players, though. So I think like some of the biggest keys to look at in army comps in this stage of the game are Archon counts and Immortal counts. Most of the army of Stats, well, I'd say like the big difference in army, as they are very similarly sized, is that Stats has a lot of Stalkers, but he's up against an army that if he blinks forward, he's going to be dealing with all those Immortals and also the Archon splash damage. And there's plenty of Zealots to buffer that as well. So he needs to like take an army in engagement where the range that he has with the Stalkers is going to give him some help. This might be the engagement right now. Sat here with a lot of Zealots, but the Archon's just doing so much splash damage onto the army of Classic. But this Classic, so many Archons here. He's even got the hallucinations in and the Immortals. I think the superior Immortal count is doing wonders for Classic here. He's got a lot of Immortals there at the back. He, you know, was hitting mostly Zealots at first, but now it's almost pure. Sneaky Dark Templar is just doing so much damage. Oh, he doesn't have an observer. It's just coming in now. If he stopped that observer, he stops the observer. And there you go. I mean, that's probably game over here. Just no way for him to deal with this. And it looks like Stats has done it. Wow. He's won a convincing fight, takes a 40 supply army lead, and there's no way to defend this. Now, I thought that superior mortar count from Classic would help him from defending from that attack, but I think there was just too many, not Archons, but Zealots from Stats and just swarmed across the force of Classic. Well, the DTs as well, you know, without the Observer there, they turned the tide of the battle very, very quickly. And that is going to be it. The streak of Classic will end. And KT Rolster will take the first win here in very convincing fashion. Yeah, that was actually a really nice game. I thought Classic still had, he was in it because he harassed that fourth base like so many times with those Zealots and Dark Templars, but I guess Stats found a very nice angle, managed to surround the army, the Zealots, the superior Zealot count, getting across those Immortals of Classic. And as you mentioned, the Dark Templars, without the Observer from Classic, just did too much damage. They just got on top of the Immortals, they were popping barriers, they were, I mean, they forced the Immortals back, and that was all the DPS. Like, that was the moment where the Immortals just really started doing damage, because the whole first part of the fight, the Immortals were hitting pure Zealots. And then after that, it was like, okay, this is the money moment where all my Immortals get the value of building this comp all game. And it's like, actually, it turns out because you're building so many Immortals, maybe you didn't have as many Observers as you needed to have the detection. And he didn't scout a Dark Shrine, I don't believe, so he was not prepared for that eventuality there. It's an unfortunate way to lose. And I think even Stats, I mean, I could see it on his face. He was like, Okay, thank God this worked out because I think that was a losing game otherwise. So, somewhat of a lucky victory here, but it's just into that convincing fashion. All you get is a few DTs there, and that's PvP. You lose the one fight, you lose that game, and Stats takes the first win. And I talked about how important it is for KT Rolster to get multi-kills because their lineup is somewhat weak. There's no depth. Like, KT Rolster has like 8 viable players we could see today. Like 8, okay? So if they like see a map and they see a match, we're like, yeah, I mean, we could use Sorry. You know, I mean, that's viable, right? But for KT Rolster, they need to get as many kills as possible because we're going to be seeing the same 3 players that we normally see and probably Leenock. So, like, SKT has someone prepared for every single player. The more kills Stats can get, the better.
Yeah, Stats definitely needs to take this next game. And who do you think it's going to be? I mean, we have players like, as you said, like the SKT has such ridiculous depth. We could see someone like Impact maybe. I'm not too sure.
Dust Towers is going to be the map. It's tough to say. I feel like Stats has really good PvP and PvZ. Maybe a Terran?
Maybe Dream?
Yeah, Dream.
Dream or Innovation.
Dream or Innovation. And a lot of people will be like, well, it's too soon to send out Innovation. I don't think so. I think you stop Stats' streak, and then who's going to beat Innovation? Like, then, you know, it starts getting a little bit
I think
questionable.
Innovation is like you can win Innovation. He can win against players like Leenock and Jukji or basically any fourth player that KT decided to send
I think
out,
his only, like, maybe his only weak point would be TY because TY's got godlike TVT.
But I wouldn't send him out to like 3rd or 4th, so.
It's tough to say, you know, so because if you send out Innovation, then maybe you force TY, then get rid of TY, and you're like, okay, well, we're trading even, but we've got a bigger lineup than you, so if we trade even, it's good. But if you let people get multiple kills, if Stats get multiple kills, if TY gets multiple kills, that's how KT wins this match. But if it goes 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 and we keep trading players, like, that's good for SKT.
Yeah, it's definitely easier for SKT because I Love OV and the coaching staff of SK Telecom T1 just form like the best plans for playoff matches with their